On today's show, colorful leaves, chilly weather, and quirky places. We share the stories of haunted bike trails. These destinations offer downright spooky rides. Who knew nerves were a thing with artists? Bob White puts his best work on show for a crowd. And we go back in time as Ron Shera shares a little advice to help you stay warm this winter.
Minnesota Bound, presented by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
Hi everybody, Bill, Millie and I welcome you to Minnesota Bound.
So, 'tis the fall season, haunting, especially outdoors.
It's exactly why we head to a secret spot in the fall woods, a bike trail that proves the mind is a powerful thing.
And sometimes scary too. Tricks and treats.
Can I play some chalks?
Brad Resch might have both.
Oh, sure, I'll see if I can find some.
Frosty's got everything.
On the spookiest of fall nights,
Oh yeah!
Oh, yeah.
little Alice and friends celebrate life outdoors.
Let's draw him eyes.
Oh, those look like good eyeballs.
She draws the goblins. The adults prefer a different approach.
It's coming together.
A night outside at Frosty's house.
I've been doing this since 2002, so over 20 years.
So I don't know if it's a passion or obsession, but yeah, he's got Halloween and gnomes down, for sure.
So I kind of decorate the yard up year-round, but at Halloween it gets a little bit more.
He figured out another trick too.
So this is Frosty's Forest.
Home of Frosty's Trail.
Cousin introduced me to him a couple years back. Said he had this cool trail in his backyard, and I had to see it to believe it. And this is it, and I believe it.
I started building Frosty's Forest in 2002. So the whole trail is all made out of 2x4s. I would say probably 550, maybe 600 yards. It's all elevated off the ground. The lowest is 4 inches, highest is where we're at, 8 feet in the air. Everything is designed to go any direction you want to go. Some of it's a little bit harder, some of it's a little bit easier, but it's all fun.
It makes me a better rider because everything's very skinny and it's very technical. And as much as you're not maybe going to go very fast, it's very technical. And so you got to pay attention to what you're doing, and you have to be able to turn and maneuver your bike and be one with your bike, which I'm not always.
This is more technical. It slows you down, makes you think, challenges you in different ways.
Every trail hides a tale, and Frosty's has more than a few.
The trail is protected by dragons.
Frosty's bike riders help create stories too.
Anytime someone would break something, they would, Brad, I broke a piece of board. And they go, well, where? Well, bank curve. Well, there are 16 sections of bank curves. So I started putting bodies out there, hence the bodies.
Yep, spooky. 40 of them.
Yeah, on the trail right now, there's 40 of them. They're in the trees, they're in the septic system. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them right here.
Which led to yet more challenges.
Then it was a situation of what body was it by? Oh, it by with the guy with the blue shirt. Well, multiple blue shirts. So then I started putting names out. So we had Aaron, Biff, Cedric, Dan, Eric, Frank, Gene, Howard, Igor.
This guy's got more time into building this trail than I do riding.
But my place is just, it's just a lot of fun stuff.
Riding your bike is a great time. I encourage everyone to ride their bike. And there's no age limit. Young or old, you can always ride your bike.
What a treat. But If you want to Halloween ride here, the trick's on you.
What I always tell people is that once you come up here, next time you come up, you can bring somebody with you. You can take all the pictures you want. You can show everything, but can't tell anybody where it is. So that's the kind of the fun part of it, that people can go, look what I rode. Where is it? Can't tell you.
Coming up, another scary ride in the woods, this time at a place called the Bethel Haunted Forest.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems, Strike Master, Ice Castle Fish House and RV, and by the Florida Keys and Key West.
For our next story, we visit a trail with a strange past and spooky visitors.
This looks like a nice autumn bike ride. Colorful leaves floating in the air. But wait, rusty car parts? An old oven? And Sasquatch? Holy bike ride. Where the heck are we?
So we're in the middle of an 80-acre plot of land that the city of Bethel owns that was originally a dump.
A dump site that dates back to Prohibition times, now known as Bethel Haunted Forest.
They had a need to dispose of their trash. This was the site that the city of Bethel would do all of their dumping.
Left behind is an array of random things.
Should we do this?
Yeah.
There's one part of the park where you'll go through a staged outdoor theater. Part of the trail incorporates the car parts that were left behind. Some of it are artifacts from the haunted forest. And then some of it is actual garbage that is left from when it was a dump. Just coming upon that, it strikes people as extremely strange.
Very strange. However, for these bikers, it's just another day on the trail.
It's really fun. It's a lot of work, but it's really fun.
And a reason to embrace a spooky season.
Oh, so yeah, we're doing this ride, and I was looking for a costume online, and my daughters helped me pick one out. So we got the funky chicken out here riding the mountain bike, I guess.
Go, chicken, go!
Expect tree roots, expect it to be a little bit bumpy, slower moving. With the fact that it's slower moving, we see a lot of families too, and that's another thing that excites me is it's a good place to bring your kids, you know, because it's slower moving, there's less risk, there's generally been less traffic here as well.
To keep the trail's unique quirkiness, it needs a lot of help.
With us today are predominantly folks that helped build this, you know, giving their own time, working full-time jobs, shovels and rakes of their own, coming out and helping.
Including the founder, this guy.
It's good to be out.
Long ago, Richard Watala reached out to his mountain biking buddies with an idea.
Pinged them and said, you know, there's this chunk of land that the city owns. Is there any interest in trying to get a park open so that people can get out, enjoy the outdoors more? It's got some unique, quirky features. The city overwhelmingly said yes, you know, have at it.
I helped groom in the winter, and then we just drove by one day and we saw people working here, and we were like, we should see what they're doing, and they're building mountain bike trails. It's fun. I really love to leaf blow, which I did it yesterday and today.
Such a strange trail draws curious minds to this forest.
It's just got kind of this vibe, and then the artifacts that are still left here. We have stories of people having a harder time getting around here than they do in other parks. We've had a few people on the other that seems to be on the other side of the river, which is on the other 40 acres of the park, that people get turned around sometimes.
So is the trail haunted? Andy's not so sure.
No. No? No.
Closed captioning provided by Star Bank.
Bob White has always been one of my favorite Minnesota artists. Not too long ago, he decided to sort of face his critics, and we were there. Bob White's wild critters normally pop up on paper and canvas, but today,
yeah, he goes down on that last wall.
The butterflies dance in his belly.
The hardest part about this was deciding what to leave behind. I mean, I could have hung 100 paintings. I just do whatever Lisa tells me.
No.
Bob and his wife Lisa hang in the halls of Minnesota's well-established Minneapolis Club, a city institution since Chester Arthur sat in the White House.
Just kind of placing the artwork on the walls where they'll hang, kind of organizing things.
Bob preps for an artist's version of stage fright, the time when the art meets the audience.
This is going to be interesting.
Bob has always used a brush to document dreams and memories, parallels to his lifelong passion for outdoor pursuits.
I'm a painter and a writer, and I do quite a bit of sporting travel, organize hunting and fishing trips all over the world.
All over the world with the support of his biggest fan.
The right one,
his wife Lisa.
Go. The whole thing can slide over. There's a lot of stillness in his work. He produces work that is, it kind of harkens back to an earlier time.
You know, there are fishing and hunting themes, there are birds, there are dogs, there are fish, there are some pure landscapes.
The goal is always to invite talented artists to be able to show their work.
Daniel Olson invited Bob to show his work in the club.
His pictures, his portraits, or his sketches invoke a memory. And so you can place yourself there.
Exactly why the club will open its doors to a crowd tonight.
That's an emergency light. You can't cover those things. Fire marshal would frown on that.
I had to pick all of my favorites, and you know, some didn't make the cut, and it was close, and kind of Sophie's choice in a way, you know. So all of these paintings, for me, they kind of represent, you know, my favorites. It's really neat for me to see 36 of my favorite paintings in one place at one time. So you're good with everything? She's good with everything. This is awesome.
So is the audience. A wave of fans wander the halls, eager to go face to face with originals and meet the mind behind the work.
I feel like I'm standing on the bridge with 20 or 30 friends, you know.
Well, this one I've always liked a lot. Yeah. Instead of just the typical theme for hunting, it's got like the in-between work that the hunters do, and it really captures the real feeling, if you know what I'm saying.
You know, if somebody walks past one of these paintings and says, you know, I've been there, I know I've been there, then I know that I got something right.
Davin Brandt understands.
Whenever I look at Bob's work, it really reminds me of that wanting to get in the outdoors, to explore, to try new places. I like the stories that his paintings tell.
The local sporting art scene, he's sort of the godfather that we all look up to, and he's also the most generous, kindest person that I can imagine. So
Ted Hansen paints birds and fish and boats too.
For me, when I look at his work, I look at it, I first that emotional, like, I get it, I've been there, I've seen that. I know what that looks like, I can smell the grass, I can feel the wind.
Bob's art makes people think, and better yet, dream.
My guess is some high-flying mallards, but maybe it's some snow geese.
And that might be Bob's greatest work yet.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. It's beautiful. It makes me wish I was in some of them.
So for me, a painting is successful when it elicits responses beyond just the visual. You know, when you can look at it and you can feel the wet mist, or you can feel the wind, you know, or you can feel the temperature. Those paintings elicit those kinds of responses. Then again, I know I've gotten something right.
To add kindling.
Up next, a story out of the Minnesota-bound vault that might just warm your house and your heart.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Heat Hog, Radco Truck Accessories, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Brr, it's cold outside.
Exactly why we have the Yodel wood stove fired up today.
It feels good, but did you get it started the right way?
I don't know, it seems like it's working.
Well, if you have any questions, back in the day, my dad, Ron Shera, decided to give the Minnesota Bound crowd a few pointers.
You know, while fireplaces are often viewed as romantic spots in a home, sometimes they're not easy to get along with if you have trouble starting the fire. So let's review some of the steps. First off, you have to start with the right wood, and that means dry wood. One way to check is to look at the end of the logs. If they're cracked like this, it's a good sign that the wood is ready to burn. It's also, you can tell if you pound it together. Kind of hear that sound? That's also a good indication that it's nice and dry. All right, now the conventional way of starting a fireplace fire, of course, is to take newspaper, wad it up into balls like this, and place it on the grate. As you can see, I have several of them here. Then, of course, you add kindling, small pieces of dry wood that are easily caught on fire. You stack those in here so that the air can circulate around them, of course. Then once your kindling gets started, then of course you add bigger pieces of wood. But I'll be perfectly frank with you. I skip over the newspaper and the kindling part these days because I found that the commercial fire starters, and there are several brands on the market, are just excellent and make the job so much easier. I just used a half a piece here, set it on top of the grate or some of the wood, and then cover it with the larger pieces of wood, and I'm ready to start that fire. Now, before you light this match, you want to make sure you don't develop a backdraft. That means when you do light the fire, the smoke suddenly goes into the room instead of going up the chimney. A couple things you can do to prevent that. One is to open a window or a sliding glass door to make sure there's plenty of air coming into the house for the fire to burn and send the smoke up the chimney. Or you can also get the smoke or get the air started up the chimney by just lighting a piece of paper here and holding it up the flue a little ways. That gets the air moving up the chimney. So that's where you want it to go. You don't want it coming out into your room. After you get the warm air going up the chimney, then you can light your fire.
I hope there was a fire extinguisher around for that one.
You speak from experience?
Maybe I've lost an eyebrow or two. Well, that about does it for us. We'll see you back here next week.
In the meantime, take the time to introduce a kid to the great outdoors. Want to go hunting?
She's
Start
hungry.
campfire.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.